Good morning, actually afternoon. Anyhow, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a clutch on a 2006 Subaru WRX. I'll put a clip in here of driving it so you can see what it's doing, and you can obviously. Can anyone tell me what the problem is? Ready to watch the RPMs and the speedometer. Anyone have any idea what the problem is? And obviously it needs a clutch, so you can see from the video. So I'm gonna pull it in backwards. I'm gonna go ahead and lift it up, drain coolant out, move the accessories over, and then pull this engine out and get this clutch started. I just got the new clutch and got coolant, so I'm all ready for this job. Here's the car. I don't know if you recognize this car or not. I did a engine build a couple years ago on this. Didn't do the clutch at the time, but now it's due. So start off by doing the easiest stuff. Take off all the fuel lines, intercooler off, intake off. Over here we have a couple engine harness connectors, and then we have power steering pump and AC compressor. I'll probably just take that off to the side and this off to the side, and then attach the engine hoist to here and the back piece, and then take the radiator out and battery and all the bell housing bolts, and then pull this engine out. Okay, intake's off, intercooler is off, got this belt off. I'm gonna pull the AC compressor off in a moment, and then the power steering pump. Got the battery out, the electrical connectors over there off, the boost controller off. You can see the fuel lines are all off, and then brake booster lines off. Once these accessories are off, I'm gonna drain the coolant, and then just bell housing bolts and downpipe, and then this engine should be out already. Alrighty, radiator is out. We've got two bolts down there for the power steering pump. You can't see very well, but to get that off, and AC, and then, like I said, the downpipe and bell housing. I just wanted to show you radiator being out, and on to the next step. Got the AC compressor bolts off, and as I'm pulling the second one off, you can see here. Watch when I lift this. That line is leaking AC, so I'm gonna have to replace that if he wants to. But got the power steering pump off, it's right there. And now this is off, I can work on the back stuff and motor mounts and lift this thing out of here. Hoping only in another 15-20 minutes. Alright, so radiator's out, power steering, AC compressor are off. Bell housing bolts are all off. You can see the trans and the engine are starting to split. I got the downpipe off, our two sensors unplugged, the other harness connectors unplugged over there. Both of these are connected or disconnected over here. Got all the vacuum lines here off. The coolant lines in the back are off. They're currently sitting right there. And the next step is going to be taking the motor mount nuts off. They're on the bottom in the frame area. And then once that's off, you lift up the trans a little bit and then you pull this out. If this was an 04 Plus STI or an 02 to 05 WRX, right here, you would have like an Allen key and then a little pin that pulls out, but since this is a push style, not a pull style, you don't have that. So the engine and transmission will just come out. So I'm gonna go ahead and take those two nuts off at the bottom. Okay, both motor mount nuts are off. This is nice and separated. I just lifted it up with a jack, and you'll know you're good when both those mounts are outside of the holes. You can see right there. Now just attach the engine hoist right there to here, and then I'll have to attach it to back here, probably one of these bell housing bolt holes, and then pull it right out. Now she's out. The throat bearing here, it's not the worst I've ever seen. Definitely not great either. Not very lubed inside. It was very tight in the shaft. Clutch is out, or is on still. The engine's out. I'm gonna brake clean this and try to get it nice and better looking, and get this clutch off and see how she looks. Well, it got the clutch off, and she's absolutely toast. Still looks like there's life, but it's glazed, zero friction. All the material's pretty much gone, down to the metal little pieces. Yep, that's not good looking either. And this flywheel needs resurface for sure. It's not looking great. Hopefully the flywheel is usable. Alrighty, I just got the flywheel back from the machine shop. I'm gonna go ahead and wipe it down, make sure no oil on it. Install the new pilot bearing, and then go ahead and put this back on the motor in a few minutes. I'm gonna clean all the oil off the back. Just spent the past 20 minutes or so cleaning this up with a rag. and degreaser. It looks quite a bit better. Just down there was disgusting, full of oil and whatever. It's better anyhow. It's a new flywheel. I'm gonna go ahead and drop that on, and then make sure there's no oil leaks that were obvious in this engine, and bolt that down, get the clutch on, and start putting this thing back together. I always gotta make sure you put the throw bearing on before the engine's in, because otherwise you can't get it in. So I can do this on camera. Just put it right there, lift the clutch fork up. Yeah, it's gonna be really hard to do. All right, the throw bearing is now on correctly. You can see that it's lined up with the sleeve cylinder. And then I just installed the pilot bearing as well. Need that in here and nice and flush. And then now we're gonna install the flywheel on the engine. And then, like I said, I'm gonna wipe this down and make sure there's no oil residue in here. It's a little bit wet from, I'm assuming, the machine and the cleaning process. All right, flywheel is back on. Now for the clutch. Alrighty, clutch is on. So I can get a good angle of this so you can see that it's lined up beautifully with that pilot bearing. Okay, now time to drop this in. I was putting this motor in, and I checked up here. Look at this motor mount. It's not even like attached. Didn't realize it before. The other one's not terrible, but this one's absolutely trash. So we just got a new one. I'm gonna go ahead and throw that in. All right, new motor mount's in. You can see, it's nice and shiny, nice and tight. I'm gonna go ahead and lower this down now. And pop the motor in just a minute. It'll pop right into those holes there. Tighten those up, and then we can put the downpipe in and the radiator back in. And then get her buttoned up the rest of the way. Alrighty, I got a bit ahead of myself, but it's basically done now. I was just bleeding coolant. I got the radiator back in, battery, the intake, everything attached. I'll show you that. It looks like stock again. The battery is your radiator. Both hoses are connected. Coolant's in there. You can see it's holding intake, obviously intercooler, everything else, downpipe on. So I'm gonna start in just a minute. I just want to check the oil, and then should be good to go. Alrighty, first start after this clutch. Sounds gorgeous, and clutch felt good. Let's see here. Clutch in, second, first, third, fourth, fifth. Beautiful. Working awesome. Let this thing bleed coolant and then go ahead and take it for a test drive. First test drive, feeling good. Cruising about 3,000 RPM and shifting, and looks good. Everything on the map looks good. Job all done. Go ahead and bring it back to my house, just top off coolant, make sure everything looks good. Thank you for watching. Just a simple clutch job. Not super detailed. My other videos have details on this job, but anyways, yeah, thank you for watching.